Hello, Augustana. It's Pastor Deb. We are here to look at our passage for this upcoming Sunday. It is a passage from the Gospel of Luke, which we are traveling through, the 10th chapter, and the verses are 25 through 42. 25 through 42. I'm going to have you go ahead and look those verses up, and read them on your own, and then join me back here when you're finished. Okay, if you have read those verses, you see that there are two different stories. One is the Good Samaritan, one of our very favorite parables, one that we have laws and hospitals and schools and all kinds of things named after. And the second one is the story of Mary and Martha. And Martha is a little bit perturbed at Mary for not helping out. Instead, she's sitting at the feet of Jesus, which is the posture of a disciple. Only men were supposed to do that. And anyway, she's sitting there learning from Jesus, listening to him. And he says to Martha, no, Mary has chosen the better part, and it won't be taken away from her. So we have these two very different stories. And in the Gospel of Luke, he would put together two stories side by side on purpose. We saw a couple weeks ago the centurion slave. Remember that story about him being healed by Jesus? And that was paired with the widow from Nain, whose son was raised from the dead by Jesus. And here we have a main character, a male, a main character, a Samaritan, in one of the stories. And then we have Martha in another story. And again, often he would do male characters, female characters. And somehow there would be kind of an interplay between those two stories to help illuminate things that he was trying to say, or to contrast. So anyway, what's going on between these two stories? Well, the story of the Good Samaritan begins, right, with a lawyer coming to Jesus and asking what he must do to inherit eternal life. Jesus, throws the question right back at him in good rabbinical fashion, answering a question with a question. He says, what do you read? And the lawyer says, well, love the Lord your God with all your heart, soul, mind, strength, and love your neighbor as yourself. So that's his answer. And then he says, but who is my neighbor? And that was a huge debate going on in Jesus's day, debating who exactly your neighbor was. They wanted to be very precise so that they could keep the law perfectly. And Jesus tells the story of the Good Samaritan. So here's what I'm entertaining with these two. I wonder, because the answer involved two pieces, right? Love the Lord your God with all your heart, soul, mind, strength, and love your neighbor as yourself. That was the second piece. But Jesus only addressed the neighbor part in the Good Samaritan parable, didn't he? He talked about who his neighbor was, the Samaritan, and also how to be a neighbor, to care for others, to extend kindness, to have mercy, to draw near, and that we should go and do likewise. The second story, we have Mary devotedly listening to Jesus. She is loving God in a very different way, isn't she? She's not actively caring or binding up wounds or feeding the hungry. Instead, she's sitting at Jesus's feet and learning from him. And I think in our lives, those two things, being active in ministry, going and doing, taking care of others, is one way that we love God and love our neighbor. But if we're so busy and so distracted, like Martha was, that we never sit at Jesus's feet and just soak in his love, soak in his teaching, and learn from him, then really all we're doing is works. It's very lopsided. And vice versa, too. If we are only spending time in prayer, only spending time in Bible study or going on retreats, but just passing by people who are in need and ignoring them, our faith is also lopsided. So here, I think, is the lesson that we can take away from the coupling of these two stories. Loving God with all our heart, soul, mind, strength involves both time, contemplative time, listening to God, maybe going on a prayer walk, spending time learning and praising and adoring God. But it also means that we need to intentionally look around us, notice who is in need, and care for them as we sense God leading us. So with those two, I think these two stories really complement one another and can keep us balanced and on the right track as we seek to love God with everything we've got and to love our neighbors as ourselves. So blessings this week, and I'll see you on Sunday. Take care and God bless. Bye-bye.